And alrighty, guys, welcome along to today's 420 news. Geez, almost forgot to unmute my mic. Thank God for the headphones, or I would have never known. That would have been an awful shame. Everybody out there laughing at me just mounting off and no sound. Geez, an awful stoner move. But guys, welcome along. Hope your week has been good, despite all of the crap that's going on out there. Today's 420 News is going to be covering news from just around Ireland because our Gardaí have been very active and they've given me a lot of content to cover. In fairness to them, I wish I didn't have it to cover, to be honest, but it's worth highlighting how much time they're actually wasting out there on this silly war on drugs. So, yeah, without ranting on a bit too much more, today's 420 News brought to you by me, Martin Condon, and Martin's World. So welcome along, guys. If you'd like to help out with the show, I'm looking to set up a cannabis activist hub. That's kind of hurting somebody out there at the moment. But if you want to support that effort and strengthen the cannabis community, then you can do so by signing up to the patreon.com/Martin's World. And that money that will be collected there will be used to rent out a premises to bring in the cannabis community to socialise and organise and to be represented, because cannabis is going to be legalised, guys. Believe it or not, cannabis is going to be legalised. I believe it's coming sooner rather than later. Some people try to say 10, 20 years. Others say 5. I definitely believe it's happening sooner rather than later. Some of the stuff that's happening over in America as well, always remember that America were the biggest pushers of the prohibition and with the UN treaty on narcotics there. And now they have over 30 states with medical cannabis, and they have 15 states where adults 18 and over, or 21 and over, sorry, can go in and buy cannabis. So hopefully that'll be represented then in our own laws, because if the US are changing, Canada has changed, so many places now are changing. Ireland really needs to follow suit, because there's a lot of harm really being done because of this. Where is my phone? It's going to go off there now. But anyhow, oh, it's up there. Just going to mute my phone there, guys, because that's very unprofessional of me. If my phone starts ringing, I might as well address that there now. Because Gino Kenny is going to be the first person that I'm going to be talking about there today in the 420 News. Basically, he put it to Minister Stephen Donnelly in all his glory. And Stephen Donnelly basically was asked about the progress of the medical cannabis access program. And basically, what Gino got was just more of the usual old bullshit when it comes to medical cannabis in Ireland and the medical cannabis access program. So I have the video lined up. Fingers crossed that audio and everything goes very smoothly here as I transition ye on over. So I'll see you there in a few seconds. Damn, sorry guys, I'm just not tech savvy when it comes to this. Getting the sound to play for you there. I just seen comments coming in that the sound isn't working. But if you want to watch that video, it's over there on Gino Kenny's page. As I said, that the response is just, it's unpalatable. Basically, it's a joke. They're talking about pricing and all of this stuff, and meanwhile there's patients out there, real people who they're suffering. Vera Toomey was on the phone relentlessly for the last few weeks trying to get some answers from this clown Stephen Donnelly, our Minister for Health, in regards to what's going to happen with the delivery of her medication going forward. Not her medication, actually. Sorry, her very young child's medication, her very sick young child's medication. Her young child, actually, who, despite being very sick, has not been in hospital, I'd imagine, for quite a while, compared to when she didn't have medical cannabis. And this clown can't even pick up the phone and have a proper chat with her and give her solid answers. It's absolutely ridiculous. The little... Oh, yeah, sorry, I have Facebook playing there in the background. That distracted me. The sound came through. But the money that she is basically saving the state when Ava is on medical cannabis, in terms of hospital visits, I'd imagine medical cannabis now is resulting in far less hospital visits for Ava, and those less hospital visits means that means less risks her life, because each of those hospital visits would be in relation to seizures. And if you don't know what epilepsy can do to a person, well, basically any seizure is enough to kill you. It's a roll of the dice each and every time what the outcome is going to be. So that's what a parent is looking at when their child is having a seizure in front of them. They don't know whether they're going to see their child at the end of that seizure, because sadly some kids just don't survive it. It's kind of a touchy one for me. I know I was born with epilepsy. I shouldn't even be here before you, I suppose. Like, I was born having seizures, and I survived all of that stuff. Thank God, touch wood. I've never had a seizure since a very young age. I think it was all within the first few months of my life that I'd experienced this kind of thing. But I was on strong medication up until, I don't know, it was a 2 or something like that. My mom's kind of telling me. So, thank God I didn't suffer with it any longer. But there's other people out there's young kids that parents never get to meet, because each one of these seizures knocks them way back. There's kids who know how to walk and things, and next they have a seizure and they lose that ability. There's kids who have seizures who know how to have a few words, they have a grasp of vocabulary. Next bang, a seizure, all of that is gone. And there's a potential that cannabis for kids who suffer with these seizures can be greatly reduced. That the number of these seizures can be greatly reduced. And it's just a stain on humanity that we're allowing this to continue any further, where the prohibition is it's not enabling the researchers to carry out effective research. It's not enabling the health professionals to prescribe this to patients effectively and in a speedy and an excipient manner, because the way in which they do it now currently is you have to go to your GP, then you have to go to consultant, and then your consultant has to write to the Minister for Health. The Minister for Health then has to consider it, sends a letter back to you, you get approved, then you have the license now only. That license allows you to get on an airplane, then go to another country, go to a chemist in that country, deal with a physician or a pharmacist in that country, and they'll give you the medicine. So then you take that in your bag, in your luggage, and you bring it home and you give it to your sick child. If it's your sick child you're treating with this, that is absolutely ridiculous that we put any person through that because of this stupid prohibition of cannabis, guys. It really is. And I won't go on any longer. I have a meeting at 5 o'clock that I'm going to have to make, so I'll try not to get caught up in these news stories, because it's a passion that burns strongly inside me. I can go hard on these things at times, and sorry if I rant a bit too much or get a bit too impassioned. And don't know if you've seen last week, but I'll try to keep tears out of this one. On Wednesday, it was overwhelming. The emotions just kind of overtook me, and I couldn't really help but just express them, let it out. There's no point hiding how you feel. And just to address that in terms of mental health too, guys, it's okay it's okay to cry. it's good for you, to be honest. And just to tie it into this, guys, there's a patients group being formed, and as part of that patients group, we're forming a booklet. So, guys, if you're out there and you use medical cannabis, whether it be legally or illegally, and you're living in Ireland, we would like you to share your experience with us in a booklet and inform other patients as to your experience with medical cannabis and your condition, and also medical cannabis and the law in Ireland. So if anybody out there is so willing to share their experience and story, and even have their picture possibly on that, and even be featured on the website too, because there's a whole thing going to be set up. We're hoping to have a group there that's going to represent all of the patients. So there'll be more of an announcement to come on that. But if there's anybody out there who feels like they fit that description and you'd like to share your story and help other patients and break that stigma around medical cannabis, get in touch with me. Drop me a DM there, or even an email to martinsworldpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll help you out there. So in other news then, guys, let's drive on with the 420 news. So there's tip-ups from the public helping Gardaí seize large quantities of cannabis. So it's no secret, guys. I've said this for a quite a while that loose lips sink ships and all this. So this was an article that was up there in the Irish Examiner. So tip-offs from the public have helped Gardaí seize large quantities of cannabis since the pandemic struck. Yeah, it's no secret. We've fucking been watching, like, it's galling us. People can't find cannabis anywhere. Next, the guards are flashing piles of it that we know is just going to go into an incinerator, and it's going to benefit nobody. It's heartbreaking to watch, and it's the rest of the world where they're progressive and not stuck in the bloody Stone Age. They're kind of laughing at this stuff now. But cannabis worth an estimated €257,000 has been seized in Cork over the last 7 days. A further 1.14 million of the drug has been seized in County Kildare and Dublin over the same period, and in the 3 preceding weeks, 9.7 million of cannabis was seized nationally, while an additional 153,200 and €200 of cannabis was seized in Cork. So drug offences have almost doubled, jumping by 40% in Cork City between January and August this year compared to the same period last year. Now, guys, keep in mind, our Gardaí have nothing to do with all. They're out there intercepting people when they're supposed to be protecting us from this pandemic. Here we have it. Look, all they're doing is just catching more people with cannabis. It's a joke. To wrap that stuff up, all of that cannabis that they caught there over the last 9 months, is it? Yeah, whatever it is. It's €11.254 million of cannabis. So €11.254 million of cannabis. If we were to slap a 23% tax on that, that would be €2.58 million we would be generating in tax from the sale and supply of cannabis, based on the numbers that these guys are putting forward. What a joke. Like, as I said, United States, Canada, other places, they're looking for forward, they're progressing. The world is changing, and we need to catch up now, because it's criminal that this is still continuing. Superintendent Michael Cummins, I kind of covered this here in the news last week. He said, while Gardaí continue to police the level 5 restrictions regarding COVID-19, it is important to assure the public that the Gardaí are still active in investigating serious crime. This is reflected in the increase in our detections into the sale and supply of drugs. Chief Superintendent of West Cork, Con Codigan, said that the public's cooperation since the pandemic has been instrumental in helping Gardaí fight the drug scourge in communities. Parents at home over the lockdown have been a vital source of information, and even teenagers have contacted Gardaí with important tip-offs. Rats. And you know what I mean? Stitches get snitches, guys. Like, people are putting their lives at risk when they go out there and they make these tip-offs. If they were to get exposed. So the community in An Garda Síochána working together is a very formidable force, no matter what crime you're dealing with. Guys, we're turning into North Korea. You smell your neighbour smoking a bit of the wacky-backy and you feel like calling the cops and they're going to invade their house. Come off the stage. This is ridiculous. Like, the drugs are a scourge in every community, and I think parents are acting responsibly. Teenagers as well have not been afraid to call in. The element of trust is vitally important. Those arrested have ranged from their teens to their 50s. Teenagers, guys, we're ruining teenagers' futures. It's not the drugs that are doing it, but criminalising a person fucks them up. I'm telling you, I'm a person who's experienced it. It's what railroaded me down this pathway in life that why I'm presenting to you right now. It's not because of cannabis. No, it was because of the criminalisation that went with the cannabis. That's what, I'm a question asker. I just don't take, I just can't take these guys' bullshit, I'm not afraid to call bullshit when I see it. And we'll get on to bullshit when I see it, actually, in a couple of seconds. So while those teens in their 50s, cannabis has been found growing in tents outside of rural West Cork drug dens. Rural West Cork drug dens? What in the name of God are they even talking about? You're on about cannabis. Like, there is no rural West Cork drug dens when it comes to cannabis, lads. Come on, like, what a load of nonsense. Sausages. Absolute sausages. The next guy then I want to talk about, guys, in the news is going to be this guy. He's an absolute pleb. And this is the same news article, and I'm sorry, Michael, if you happen to ever watch this, and if you're calling you a pleb, but really, like, based upon what you kind of gave in the news article there, I have no reason but to believe you're anything but. So Michael Gueirn, leading addiction counsellor in Cuan Mhuire Rehabilitation Centres, believes that while the spike in cannabis seizures is definitely linked to enhanced Garda control of supply, no, it is not. It's because they're bored shitless. There's no one drunk on the street anymore. It is also symptomatic of an increasingly permissive culture around cannabis consumption. We can assume that the large frequent seizures are indicative of greater supply and greater demand. So here you are, you're acknowledging that there is greater demand, and therefore the criminals are stepping up and they're meeting that demand, and our Gardaí are unable to control it. Legalization, guys, regulation, protect the addicts out there. If there's a person really addicted to cannabis, why in the name of God do you want to criminalize them? Like, come off the stage. Like, what are you doing, Cuan Mhuire? Like, allowing this fool to come on and support the prohibitionists. If you really want to protect people who are addicted to drugs, you need to protect them from the law who want to criminalize them, hamper their ability to get jobs in the future. It's absolutely stupid that you would support prohibition when you claim to have the interests of the people who you're trying to care for, the addicted ones. Like, it's ridiculous. But look, I can understand as well. Look, there's a big honeypot here for you, because there's a lot of people who get sent your way from the criminal courts. People who pay a bit of money, they're all go to rehab there, and meanwhile they're not even addicted. So no, it's a scam. It's a money racket. It's a scam. The whole court system is a money racket and a scam. And Cuan Mhuire, you're just as much involved in it. And this is just evidence of it, because, come on, call a spade a spade. Prohibition helps nobody. It does not help drug addicts. Boom, there you go. Mic drop. That's it. Oh, sausage. I'll get on with the article, because I'll never get through it, because I'll get really annoyed reading some of the stuff he has to say here as well. We have become far more accepting of cannabis, and because people are more tolerant of it, it gets used more in a recreational way. More of it. Like, what do you mean more accepting? Like, people are seeing through the bullshit that's there, because cannabis is there in their face and in every avenue of life now, in terms of all the media we consume. Music, art, TV, TV shows, movies, all of that kind of stuff. It's on the radio. You can't get away from it. Drugs are everywhere. And even the stupid ads that they put out there to educate you actually only make you more intrigued by ads, Like, what's this bloody ad that makes me have my dog talk to me? Do you ever see that? Like, that's saying what the drugs ad where your one's dog talks to her and saying, oh, he gets very worried about you because you're always out of it and whatever. That's going to make you want to fucking try cannabis. Like, of course, like, Jesus, like, you get some young kid who sees this ad and he's like, you smoke cannabis and I can talk to my dog. That kid is going to try, you idiots. Like, sorry again, I'm just getting off topic and ranting again. Sorry, guys, it's despite the drug soft image, with some government ministers admitting to smoking it in the past, i.e. Stephen Donnelly, Health Minister, Mr. Gueirn said it can cause permanent damage. It hasn't caused permanent damage to Mr. Donnelly despite his ignorance, that cannabis didn't cause that. No, it's being a politician causes your ignorance. With profound mental health complications for those who abuse it. No, I would say the politicians who allow cannabis prohibition to remain in place, they've got serious mental health problems, because they're remaining ignorant to a massive elephant in the room, and that's it. Criminals are in control of the drug supply, and ye are not. The psychological devastation associated with the long-term cannabis abuse would rival any other substance. Guys, I've been using cannabis for over 13 years now, and it hasn't done me any long-term damage that I can see. Some people might argue that I might have it, but I don't. I think that the criminalisation that came with cannabis caused me far more harm to my mental health. Yeah, far more harm to my mental health. Just quickly reshare with you my experience in a cell up in Cork City when they took me away. I was cooking dinner at home one evening for me and my daughter. I had some fish poaching in some milk, and I was going to make a nice fish pie, and I never got to complete it at all, unfortunately. And I got taken away to a holding cell up in Mayfield, and that night, like, they broke me. Like, I had my socks around my neck, and I wanted to kill myself. I just wanted to end it all. I was just sick of it. Like, how can I go on and live in a society that judges me like this because of my one choice that affects nobody? Just because these governments are corrupt, these laws are corrupt. Being gay was once illegal. How many gay people took their lives because of the stigma and the judgment that we put upon them? when we outlawed that act, you know, and we continue to do this to many other people in our society, i.e. drug users, you know. That's shaming you. Like anybody who supports prohibition, absolutely shame on you. And to all you guys in Cuan Mhuire, like shaming you. I know you want to help people and you do good work up there helping people who are really addicted, but in fairness, like this next comment, people coming from Cuan Mhuire for treatment for cannabis are in as bad a shape coming into treatment as anyone using anything else. Cocaine, heroin, benzodiazepine, crack cocaine, all of it, Mr. Gueirn said. So Mr. Gueirn thinks cannabis is going to fuck you up just like crack cocaine and benzos and... Oh man, come off the stage. There is psychological implosions that happen in somebody who is addicted. No, look at the psychological implosions happening here because of the bloody ignorance that you're spouting, lad. But you don't care, you still spout it. Just acknowledge the fact that when you speak, like you're speaking from an incredibly biased position where you only see the harms of the drugs and you're not ever looking into the benefits, aren't you? Are you? Acknowledge your bias before you speak, like you scumbag. Mr. Gueirn said that Mr. Gueirn said that part of the problem is that cannabis is far more potent than it used to be, with much higher levels of THC, the drug's principal psychoactive chemical. Man, Michael, like seriously, regulation. Put like at least we can know what we're buying and consuming if it was regulated and there's a label on it. When I go to my drug dealer, like, you know, when I go buy cannabis, only for the fact that sometimes I get it off a person who grows it, I know what I'm getting to some extent. I know what seeds they use to grow and an idea of what the strength might be, but I don't have a clear thing. But my regulation could bring that and we could help people and we can put an age limit in place and protect the kids, you know. But no, you'd rather keep going on with your stupid prohibition. Other news, guys. We have the revenue making the news today, guys. They picked up a package that was destined for County Meath in the airport yesterday, and it was a rather suspicious looking package, a big steel container packed to the conch with a load of the finest dank, I'd imagine. And unfortunately, this isn't going to find its destination. So there was 8.4 kilos of the drug detected. And revenue are now going to destroy it. And a revenue spokesperson said investigations are ongoing. Like, what a waste of money. There's people actually out there that are investigating this now, and that we're going to waste a load of gas incinerating this stuff. Like, what a waste of taxpayers' money and time paying the wages of these people when there's homeless people out there in the street and there's volunteer groups helping them and they don't get a penny. And we're pouring millions every year into prohibition. It's a shame. It's a real shame. Other news, guys, we have a Curragh man. So there was a man in the Curragh, and he's up in the news today because he was basically his property was allegedly used for €800,000 cannabis growing operation. So I'm not too sure what allegedly is actually about. Like, he either was or he wasn't. Like, they showed up and they found it. Like, so he was just using it for it. Like, but maybe what was actually going on there is that they had some Vietnamese guys in there who were operating it for them. Yeah, the poor Vietnamese guys. Here they are again, guys. You know, come on. Like, this is ridiculous that this is still going on. And it's only enabled because of prohibition. So a Curragh man whose property was allegedly used for cannabis growing operation appeared in Naas District Court today. Before the court was Paul Flood, 58, whose address was given Ballysacks, Curragh. He faces allegations of having cannabis for the purpose of sale or supply at Ballysacks and Curragh on November 3rd. It was alleged by Garda James Dolan that he was seen leaving his address, meeting a male in a Volkswagen van, then returned to his address in a convoy where they were seen leaving again in convoy. They travelled towards the M7 where they were intercepted and 10 kilos of cannabis was found in the van. Gardaí then found a sophisticated cannabis growing operation, and a number of buildings had been converted to grow cannabis, and 2 Vietnamese males were tending to approximately 1,050 plants. The plants have been alleged to value 800,000. Well, actually, it's a little bit more than 800,000 because there was an extra 50 in there, so... another 50, geez, what's that? Another 36, so 836,000 actually, guys. There, just if you're going to get your valuations right, if it's 1,050 plants, 836,000, if I'm right, maybe, yeah, or 803, yeah. Anyhow, yeah, 50 plants. No, maybe 836,000. Yeah, look, anyway, never mind. I'm going to get bogged down in the maths now, and I'm quite high, and have a big fatty hair and I haven't even sparked that one up. So this court heard that it takes 12 weeks for cannabis plants to grow. There you go, guys. A bit of education from the court system. It takes 12 weeks for the cannabis plants to grow. That's a bit of accurate information if you've got the right strain. 12 weeks from seed to finish. Yeah. In a sophisticated environment. They're incorrect there. It doesn't have to be sophisticated at all. It was alleged by Garda Doolan that the defendant was tasked by the unnamed others to feed the Vietnamese workers, to feed them. Jeez, what a lovely task. A bail application was defending Seamus Boyle was opposed by Garda Doolan, who said that he believed the defendants knew about the grow house. He was opposed to the granting of bail on the seriousness of the allegations. He said a large bail surety would not allay his fears given the amount of drugs involved. Mr. Boyle said the defendant is not a flight risk. He has lived in the area all his life and has ties to the area and the family. Interesting. So he's tied to the area all his life. He's kind of grown in the area and stuff. Like, outside of the fact that he's using Vietnamese guys doing it and whatnot, it'd be very interesting to see what kind of a different person this would have been if the model, if cannabis had been regulated and he could have set up a legitimate business. Would he have gone down the same route of having slave labour? Who knows? But anyhow, Judge said Zidane noted that the court is not trying the merits of the allegation. He said that the bail objections are sustainable in law. He adjourned the case for a week. The defendant will appear by video link, and the defendant was remanded in custody until November 11th. So there you go. That's that piece of news, and I'll cover back up in that and see what happens in it. If he gets, like, if there was any more to be said about the Vietnamese people. I'm always very interested in these people who get caught up in this, because it's something we have to kind of be aware of when we're buying and sourcing our cannabis, is where we're getting it from and who might be growing it. Do you really want to be buying a product produced by a slave? I know there was some coffee bean companies there in the news not too long ago. I think it was Nescafe who are using slave labour. But anyhow, won't get on sidetracked there and that. But other news, guys, the cops had a bit of a 3-in-1, as they do. One raid leading to another raid, getting them quite a bit of cannabis seized. So Gardaí said that they have seized cocaine and cannabis worth €86,000 on the street, and also made arrests following operations in Laois and Mayo. In a statement, Gardaí said that as part of an intelligence-led operation into the sale and supply of drugs in County Laois, Gardaí attached to the Laois Divisional Drug Unit carried out a search under warrant late Tuesday night, November 3rd. At approximately 10:30 on Tuesday, the Gardaí searched out an apartment in Port Laois. During the course of the search, Gardaí say that they located cocaine and cannabis with an estimated street value worth €72,500. And a large amount of drug paraphernalia and cash. So probably bongs and skins or what have you. A statement said one man aged in his 30s was arrested and taken to Port Laois Garda Station, detained under criminal Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Act. And this man remains in custody still. Gardaí added that during a follow-up search, so obviously there was a bit of something carried out and on there that indicated another place to search. They seized €3,500 worth of cocaine and over €3,000 in cash. One man in his 30s again was arrested and taken again to Port Laois Garda Station, and he's been arrested under Section 4 of the Criminal Justice Act. Gardaí said this man has been since charged and will appear in court, so he's out now walking about the place, I'm sure. Gardaí HQ said that the Laois operation led to the successful follow-up search then in Ballyrobe, County Mayo. Ballyrobe is a lovely little town in County Mayo, and it's unfortunate that they're attracting in these dudes who are tied into the sale and supply of cocaine as well, because that can get a bit violent at times. But in County Mayo, a house was searched and €10,000 worth of cannabis herb was seized. Meanwhile, in another operation in County Mayo, and I don't know if it was in relation to this. It says meanwhile in a separate operation in County Mayo. So County Mayo kind of making the news a bit there today, and this one is a big one. And there was no cannabis here, and the only reason I continued on to it was in this last article that I was reporting from, and in this one at the end of it I just came across the fact 6 handguns and drugs worth 600,000 found in Mullingar. Like 6 handguns, guys. This is like prohibition at work. Like, absolutely ridiculous that criminals out there selling cocaine and heroin have 6 handguns. Like, what? That's for the teenagers that they're getting to peddle drugs on the streets, and any prohibition that's out there that supports this model. This is what you're supporting the Gardaí aren't keeping the drugs off the street, guys. I'm sorry, like they're not. Even with the recent seizures, and they're getting a lot. Like it's still getting in. It's still getting in. You can still get drugs. Just they're not stopping it. It's a fallacy to think that they'll ever will be able to. Gardaí have seized 6 handguns and drugs worth an estimated 300,000 during an operation in Mullingar, County Westmeath. Excuse me. Officers investigating the sale and supply of drugs discovered weapons and quantities of the heroin and cocaine when they searched the house in the town following what a Garda spokesman said was a lengthy surveillance operation. Lengthy. Keyword there, lengthy. It's a long time Gardaí were spending watching these guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's say for heroin, let's legalize heroin assisted therapy. Let's give them what they want. If a person is addicted to heroin, and that's a sickness in my eyes. Like they qualified for care and for treatment. Give them the heroin, guys. We already have methadone. Just give them the heroin, and boom, there you go. These heroin dealers are done for. They'll have to they'll like go away. They won't have money like they're you know, and they won't be able to force these addicts into selling their drugs and to holding their guns. And you know, oh man, streets will be so much safer. It's ridiculous how much better our society would be if we just got our heads out of our arses when it comes to drugs. 2 men aged in their late 20s and early 30s, so late 20s, early 30s, were arrested at the scene on Monday night where the drugs were caught. They are both being detained in Mullingar Garda Station. A follow-up search of a residence was carried out. So the drugs were found in one spot, and a follow-up search then found the guns in another spot. So, you know, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then more ridiculousness here, guys. We have a judge ridiculing a guy on his ability to grow plants. You know, the guy brought pictures of his plants into the courtroom to kind of defend himself, and the judge was basically like, the judge says that that you wouldn't be a gardener because the plants probably were in, you know, they weren't in good shape, I'd imagine. So a man who had 20 cannabis plants grown in his home and had them in such poor condition that a judge commented he wouldn't be a gardener. Clonakilty District Court heard that Damien Queen. Damien, if you're out there, man, give me a shout. I'd love to hear your story. I'm more than happy to have you on, and you know, I'm more than happy as well to give you a few pointers as how you can improve your cannabis growing. I hope you don't shy away from the hobby. It's amazing. So Damien Queen, age 60, of Cool Mountain, actually, Dunmanway, beautiful spot, Cool Mountain. If you don't know it, it's kind of a hippie commune of some sort. Like down there, it's a very nice spot, and very nice people down there. Just trying to live in as close to the land as possible, I suppose. To kind of put it in simple terms, but really nice people down there. And Damien, you know what, man, you know, you probably don't have good internet down there anyway, that's for sure. I know that one. I've been down there doing some work fitting windscreens in your cars, lads, and your coverage is shocking. But Damien, give me a shout, man, or anybody if knows Damien, give him a shout, tell him I'm looking for him. He pleaded guilty to 2 charges of possession of the drugs and a count of possession of firearms without a certificate. Oh, I didn't know this, and he had a gun again. Sergeant Paul Kelly told the court a search warrant was executed in his house on September 25th last year by members of the Cork West Divisional Drug Unit. They found 20 cannabis plants growing. Cannabis was found in a separate area upstairs, as well as a suspected firearm, which analysis turned out to be a torch. It turned out to be a torch, and it also worked as a stun gun. Okay, fair enough. It was a torch and a stun gun. A fucking firearm, lads. Come on, like... Oh, you should like make this clear at the start of the article as soon as you mentioned gun, like the poor dude. Some people will just stop up there. Judge John Kings heard that when Mr. Queen arrived home that day, he made full admission to the Gardaí, and when later abandoning Garda Station, he told officers that the stun gun was used for controlling dogs. Ah, man, Mr. Queen, look, alright, we all have our differences and stuff, like, but I would never use a stun gun on a dog. Like, that's just, oh man, poor dogs. That's cruel, dude, man. Ah, it breaks my heart. Almost don't want to support you now, Damien, but look, fucking man, there's a personal opinion I have, but we have a common goal here, which is cannabis legalization, so I'm not going to let that get in the way. But don't stun gun dogs, guys. It's lousy. Sergeant Kelly said that the cannabis plants were on full maturity would have been worth €800, but as they had been poorly maintained, they were aware of little value. No, they won't be worth 800. Would have been worth whatever footage or whatever it would have saved this guy having to buy, you know what I mean? He wasn't going to be selling it most likely. Anyhow, Mr. Queen's solicitor, Fleming, stressed to the point, producing photographs of the plants for the judge and arguing that they showed the ineptness of the grown skills of your man. Judge King, on seeing the photograph, said, yeah, he wouldn't be a gardener. Fair enough. Anyway, he increased the number detected by one rather than reducing it. Mr. Fleming said of his client's intervention, because your man actually said that the cops miscounted the plants. There was more there that they said was there. Fair play to him. Gas. He also said his client had been fully cooperative and that his neighbour had attested to the amount of assistance Mr. Queen had given him. So he was obviously helpful to his neighbours too. The court heard that Mr. Queen had 8 previous convictions here, the most recent of which was for a road traffic offence in 2009. The guy is 60, keep in mind, and had 4 convictions in the UK dating back to 1990. Judge King said Mr. Queen was not a master criminal nor a master grower, but he still queried what he was doing cultivating the cannabis plants. Obviously, he was trying to save a bit of money. He directed a probation report to be carried out for the court and put him on continuing bail to appear again in court on January 5th next. So I'll keep an eye out for that one, see what happens with your man when he goes back to court. Absolutely ridiculous that he was up in court for this. What a waste of time. Waste of time. Gardaí are happy to waste it though. Gonna drive on, guys. I got a few minutes left there before I should be on my meeting. I might run a little bit over time, but yeah, I'll keep going and I'll finish the news I've prepared for you today. So Gardaí have discovered a sophisticated cannabis grow house in West Cork, and sophisticated. They love to throw that word out there to make you sound a bit more like a criminal mastermind than what you actually probably are. So Gardaí discovered €20,800 worth of, so basically 21 cannabis plants growing in a West Cork house at around 7:30 on Wednesday night. The West Cork Divisional Drugs Unit executed search warrants in the Inchigeelagh area. A Garda statement said during the course of the search, Gardaí discovered a sophisticated grow house containing a conveyor belt grow system, fans, lights, and ventilation. Excellent. A conveyor belt growing system. Are you talking about a perpetual grow? Where he has a vegetative room and maybe 2 flowering rooms next to it so that you can be flowing through it? Is that what you're saying? Or did he have a conveyor belt where his light was flowing back and forward to maximise the efficiency and be a bit more environmentally friendly, as in getting more space covered? I would love to elaborate more. But the suspected cannabis plants at various stages of growth are worth an estimated €14,800. A further search of the house led to the seizure of €6,000 worth of herb, all dried, so €20 a gram, less than a kilo, about 250, 300 grams there of cannabis. All of the suspected drug will now be sent for Forensic Science Ireland for analysis. These guys are cleaning up in Forensic Science Ireland, like really are, like all these cannabis samples being sent for analysis. So much cannabis they're analysing. Like, guys, send it down to me if you're getting overwhelmed with the samples, and I'll process some of it and I'll let you know if it's cannabis or not. Drive on. Last bit of news there for you guys. Anybody get a bit of spicy weed out there lately? Nah. So €30,000 worth of cannabis was found in crisp packets after an intelligence-led raid in North Dublin. Gardaí and revenue officials raided a house in Artane on Wednesday, where the unique discovery was made. Unique that they were found in cannabis packets. Guys, if you're getting it imported in, maybe don't get it imported in cannabis packets. They're on the €30,000 worth of cannabis was found inside the crisp packets and seized as part of the intelligence-led operation. So more waste of time, intelligence-led. That's just basically another way of saying Gardaí wasting time targeting non-violent drug offenders. Gardaí and revenue officials raided a house in Artane where they say the unique discovery was made. A woman in her 30s was arrested and detained at Raheny Garda station. Gardaí told the reporters on November 4th, 2020, the drugs unit and revenue carried out a search of the house as part of a joint operation in the Artane area. Suspected cannabis worth approximately 30,000 was seized, and during the search, and a female in her 30s was arrested. And female in her 30s, like, that's sad to hear, like, you know, who's she going to hurt, like, really? And this cannabis, unless it's poisoned with formaldehyde or something like that, it's probably going to hurt nobody. Absolutely ridiculous, and what a joke, like. And I guess it's just an indicator, like, cannabis coming in crisp packets, as to how prohibition just puts kids at danger, because they're going to open those crisp packets and they're going to eat that cannabis and they're going to overdose and die. Not. That's it, guys. That's the 420 news for today. I'm sorry for fecking up at the start with the sound, but I hope you can forgive me. I hope you still love me. um, guys, yeah, that's it. I have a few comments to get through, and I probably won't be able to get through them all because, as I said, I have a meeting starting 2 minutes ago, and I'm gonna have to boogie on. So I really love the fact that everybody has commented. I will certainly get back, and I'll make an effort to reply to all of you there afterwards, guys. But shout out to some of the top comments there: Francis, Scally, Noel, Peter, and Dave. I was looking for you, Dave. I was going to stop when I get to Dave, but we have Noel down underneath you, and all the familiar faces, guys. It's lovely to see you all again, and that and yeah, returning to consume the 420 news. Guys, continue coming back, continue commenting, continue sharing. I'll continue delivering, and anyway, as long as we've got these ignorant drug policies remaining in place. So, guys, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's Martin Conlon, guys, signing off. 420 news from Martin's World. Stay blazed, guys. Keep her lit. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I'll have to get onto the other news or onto the meeting, guys. So, peace.